Let's see if they can. Game 2.
Virtus.Pro versus PSG.LGD. Game 2.
All right, guys, we have game number 2 between these two titans. Do we think we're going to see anything different? Is it going to slow down, or are they going to keep going with these high-octane strats?
I think Virtus.Pro will make the switch that they did in the game against Vici, where they lost the first game, and now they need somehow to win at least a game to keep them inside of this series. So I expect something a bit more early-oriented, stay away from the bristleback, and yeah, we see Ti10. Ti10, Magnus is still in the pool, Io is still available if they want to buff him up.
Yeah, I totally agreed with LOA's point at the end there. That whole draft of VP is built where Ember, Bristle effectively have to just win the game by themselves, and the Bane, Silencer, Earthshaker, like they've got some control, but they don't actually add damage, and they don't add any durability to their cores. You could see, like, also I think the pace getting set with GPK dying mid, like he balled out yesterday. You get solo kills any match, especially in this patch where you're just getting a quick bottle, grab those 2 4-minute runes, like that's a pretty big mental blow, I'd say, though he did seem to recover throughout the game.
So was a situation where when you looked at that draft, it was just a little bit too flat, it didn't have enough dimensions to it, just too very specifically looking at certain things that need to be achieved?
Yeah, that's a really cool way of putting it, because it felt like it was a much more layered lineup inside of PSG.LGD, and you think about the natural answers that their heroes could kit for. They even went the secondary Silver Edge on Ame, so you're basically just addressing the enemy win condition by both BKB and offensive Silver Edge. So, you get the Aghanim's timing on your Bristle, but it doesn't actually win the game for you, and I think if VP changed something up, they already have the Ti10, so that's a great start. I think it's the highest win rate combination of TI, but I've been wrong about old statistics.
You could have made that up, and I can say, I completely agree.
With conviction, sir. He's looking at our panel, and they're just like, you're on your own, bro. We're not helping you on this.
gave me a thumbs up. LOA gave me a shoulder shrug, and Tiga was like, nah, bro. So,
got it.
Who do you trust?
Okay, so...
Not you is the answer to that question. Lacoste, though. Do we like this? Are we seeing, is this more dynamic already? Does it have more flexibility?
It is. I believe this is going to be a position 1 Ti10. You have Io, so there's no need to flex it. We saw throughout the group stage and the main stage what this combination of 2 heroes can do. Also, looking at the Wyvern plus Monkey King, that's a good way to set things up, and especially against Io, because he's going to be tethered up to Ti10, so Wyvern's ulti is going to always be very potent. And to go back to the Wyvern, Ti10, after he uses his combo, he deals heavy physical damage. So this is where, Winter Wyvern's heal is going to come into play. Kyle, you're making me laugh. All right, you go.
Oh, I just wanted to point out, traditionally we think of Monkey King as a carry or a mid, and Wyvern as the support. But this is still a very open lineup. We saw 9 from Tundra popularize the Winter Wyvern middle. It looked very good, almost good enough to get here to TI, of course, beaten in the qualifiers by the TI 8-9 champions OG. It's very strong with the Aghanim's timing, though, against Ti10, because of the HP-based, max HP-based damage on your Q that will consistently be reapplied if you do get Aghanim's.
Agree, but that got nerfed, so I think they're going to stay away from it, play it as position 4 or 5. We're going to have to see if this is a position 1 Monkey. It's not something you like to play into, because, you're playing into Ti10, so there's always a possibility that you're going to be tossed out of your Wukong's command. Back to you, Kyle.
Sorry, Jenkins just walked on set.
Well, to piggyback off of that, I know that Kyle's getting a little distracted right now. But, you talk about how we have very flexible drafts. This is a very dynamic patch. The fact that there are so many different heroes that we can pick that can be placed into different positions. From discussing this with several of the guys, Monkey King position 1 just seems to be like the ultimate pick if you're able to get it. Very similar to like a Ti10, right? Ti10 has some flexibility, but generally speaking, I feel that when we see the Monkey King this early, it's got to have either the ability to shift into becoming that support, or obviously the position 1, but you can't be totally sold on it right off the bat.
It's always flexible, but it's quite nice against Wisp lineups, because you're typically always going to play in this like 3-2 split with the IO relocate possibility, Monkey King, whatever the role, is going to be able to provide a ton of vision from the trees. And it's a really cool combo with Wyvern. I think it was EG who famously always ran this Wyvern with Nyx Assassin. Monkey King is kind of the same concept because you get a curse and then you have a huge spell that follows up without being squandered, right? And then suddenly there's a Wukong's, a Boundless as it ends, and you have this massive teamfight advantage. That's a much earlier Necro that I'm used to seeing, but that is like a hard counter in theory to Tiny. Super high HP, super high armor, but the max HP damage on the Scythe, very effective.
Yeah, because Tiny and IO, they love to play like half HP, you know, there's going to be mech, Holy Locket coming out. The Necro has this ability to stop this type of a play. What I want to see from Virtus Pro is some kind of heavy magical damage. They have very limited amount of silence, so one of the spirits, I feel,
Like a Storm
Void
Spirit,
Spirit, even Queen of Pain. Storm Spirit is banned out in the first phase.
Oh yes, I have very bad vision. Apologies. But yes, any sort of a spirit would be potentially very good considering the lack of lockdown. Although we are getting
So
Different
this is,
kind of spirit for now.
right.
Yeah, but this is very up-tempo from Virtus Pro, but PSG.LGD, like they already wanted long fights. Now they really want long fights. And in addition, if they were to swap the Necrophos into the Darkseer lane, that's like the dream for you because you just spam Q, get regen off creeps, and you're never really gonna get dove under tower. And I'm concerned because if you can't kill Necrophos, now they have even more save. This just ended Darkseer's laning phase. Like you don't see this hero very often, but like Darkseer's kind of unplayable into Oracle. The Q spam, dispelling the shield, is a really tough matchup already for VP.
It really is. And the combination with Necro, you become magic immune and physical damage immune, so literally no one can touch you. This is going to be a position 1 Monkey King from what I see. They have 3 repositioning abilities, Toss, Vacuum, and Kick from Earth Spirit. So Monkey King's Wukong's command might not be as effective as usual, but as Carl said, Winter's Curse can set things up. They're a bit limited on the lockdown, no silence.
It's tough because without the Oracle, Monkey Carry is a bit exposed against Earth Spirit Darkseer because they're just going to pull waves, they'll get a level advantage, and suddenly they can run at the Monkey King. But now Oracle's there to pretty much secure the lane, and you're playing against 2 melee heroes. It's kind of the dream. Necro is also a traditionally very hard hero to rotate on. Earth Spirits don't like to have to stay in the lane. They want to be able to apply threat in like all places if possible. But you already have pretty durable laning setups from PSG.LGD, at least what they've revealed so far. Be Wyvern top then with potentially the last pick?
Yeah, most likely. Yeah, most likely. I want to see something very active from PSG.LGD. They're banning out the Leshrac to deal with the illusions coming out from the Darkseer. There's still Void Spirit feels really good for both teams, and I feel Queen of Pain might be the other one. At least for Virtus Pro. I'm sorry, PSG.LGD, they can still flex it. This Necro can be off laner, and they know he's playing into Tiny. Tiny as a carry doesn't really deal that much damage. Necro has been used as a counter to like certain heroes like Spectre, where Necro completely dominates the matchup. Same goes for Ember Spirit, where the damage output is very limited early on.
So is this a situation where PSG.LGD, they're just really trying to solidify these lanes up, get that advantage early, and just make it so that way VP doesn't get the chance to get that footing?
I think that they'll certainly come out ahead in the lanes. I don't know if they necessarily have to, looking at the lineup. I do agree with Lacoste. I think if you put the Necro into the Tiny lane, Tiny kind of always ends up harassing the offlaner just because of how much you CS with your tree grab, but Necro is going to get free Qs off of you. You get a lot of natural sustain just from last hitting. And if there's a Wyvern up there too, like it could just be a very difficult lane for the Tiny, who, much like the first game when the Bristleback was the win condition, we're now in a scenario where, yeah, sure, IO is like a mild steroid, but when Tiny's looked really busted in this tournament, it's with multiple sources of amplified damage. A Slardar, an Ogre, a Magnus.
And Lacoste is an oracle all to himself this time around because he mentions the Spirit. This is, of course, something that GPK really enjoys playing, is quite skilled with, and also just one of those people that, he's very aggressive and he likes to be able to make these high-octane plays.
It fits the profile, exactly what they needed. They needed a hero that can drop the backline, make Oracle's life a nightmare pretty much, and Wyvern, and he is probably the best option that they had. One more time, PSG.LGD will go with Kunkka. Same goes with the Spirit. I think Void Spirit has slightly better chances because in the first game he got solo killed, and this time around, with the shield, the different shield from Void Spirit.
Shield.
Yeah, they upgraded the shield, and now it's going to be a bit better. Still liking what PSG.LGD got.
Yeah. In theory, GBK will have a better matchup, but concern is, I think that your safe lane might get exposed. This Necro into the 3 position for Faith Beyond is really nice here.
All right, well, that's going to be it coming out from us over here at the draft panel. We've got a very interesting game ahead of us. And speaking of interesting, we have a very interesting person who's ready to give us the last word.
Necrophos. Well
Ladies
said,
and gentlemen,
Jenkins.
this is the face of the man who has to make content around Herald gameplay. Everybody out there in the world, it's a rough life out there for all of us. But yeah, Necrophos.
Yes, so well put. Such an eloquent speaker, Jenkins. Thank you so much. All right, well.
Why is it us? Why us? What happened?
That's a short straw for everyone at the end of the day. It's fine here.
But we're going to get into this game number 2 now. Virtus Pro backs up against the wall. Need to find something here in the very end. As already out towards the mid lane, LGD well on their way to try and secure this game number 2. I gotta say, man, I saw that Darkseer picked, just jubilation. I love this hero, it's so awesome.
Yep.
And then immediately the Oracle came out, and it was just, it's such a tough matchup.
I can actually tell you something here.
Tell me.
Now, VP currently spamming the shame line of the beloved Sir Action Slacks. He did a winner's interview with Y. Did you hear what he said? He talked
about Oracle.
He said, "Why? When's the Oracle coming out, man? It's your favorite hero." And Y's like, it's like it was gifted to him. There's one hero where you see it and you go, Oracle.
Yeah.
Give me Oracle. It's Darkseer. And the reasoning for that, if you maybe haven't played so much Dota, we'll get to that after, in case there's an engagement here.
There might just be. Gotta be careful here by LGD. Roll in onto one, and GK gets not even Faith Beyond, able to take the other. And just like that, we're off to the races. And already the Ion Shell.
Yes.
There it is.
There it was, ladies and gentlemen. So you saw there was an Ion Shell on Earth Spirit. Well, I guess we'll go to step 1. Ion Shell is a spell from Darkseer. He puts this little aura on you. It's a tiny little ball, and it damages heroes right next to you. Quite a bit of damage. And, that's great. Earth Spirit, he likes to roll on top of people. He stuns them, he slows them, and he just keeps hitting them. Well, Oracle, he has this lovely spell called Fortune's End right there. That can take off any Ion Shells that are on the Earth Spirit. It's a great counter in lane. That means that Darkseer, of course, if he's trying to Ion Shell creeps, whatever he's trying to Ion Shell, you can remove it as Oracle.
And it's pretty much the spell that you play around throughout all the time. And then later on as well, when you're playing as the Darkseer, if you're trying to kill people, it's all magical damage. Oracle spell Fate's Edict, incredibly good at mitigating that. And then the other thing is that it also takes off Surge. So every little bit of Darkseer pretty much is countered. But we'll see if they're still going to be able to have a decent time with them. The one part that's still going to be nice is getting a back wall off later on, and just the team fight presence that hero brings. But regardless, there's some other heroes.
You play this hero. Why'd they pick it?
It's great with Tiny. You love to run in there.
Yeah, Surge Tiny, that's good.
Nightfall going to be enabled that much more, increasing farm potentially, increasing kill potential.
It is good with these position 4s that can top people.
Nice.
Fortune's End or not,
Absolutely.
It's a great spell.
We'll see how this ends up working out for them. Is Faith Beyond going to take a nice chunk of damage there? Nightfall, Kingslayer, keeping that pressure on. IO has seen a pretty big increase in play recently, it feels like. Particularly in the lead up to TI, it felt like maybe there's going to be a chance that we wouldn't see all that much of it, but now getting played consistently just as this core hero, core enabling hero that lets your position 1 show up to the fight even when they're on the opposite side of the map.
Yeah, and of course, we always know there are teams that are known as like the IO teams, but a little bit of a difference of this TI, as IO is going to help Nightfall try and get first blood.
Oh, not quite going to be there. Zinq just a little bit too quickly up that mountain.
Very nice, but yeah, we're getting IO on teams that maybe aren't necessarily like known for playing it a whole lot. So that's what's made it a much more common pick. We're also seeing it flex between like the 5 and the 4. Of course, most teams tend to have like an IO player, but you're never quite sure how the laning step's going to go. And well, if you've watched TI for a long time, like Casey and those fans where she was discussing those olden days, Ti10 is probably very familiar to you as one of the hallmark first like true hero combos right next to like Crystal Maiden Juggernaut that you're used to in Dota.
Yeah, that's something that just works really, really well together constantly, is why going to try and pull this wave to connect it with the other. So this is one of the things that you can try and do as Oracle, is force the laning matchup, because normally what happens with Darkseer is you need to pull that wave back behind the tower, get a little bit of separation, and in the end it is going to be a little bit of disruption. They pull the range creep away, and DM just going to have to hang on with these melee creeps here. Does get that XP a little bit shared there between him and Save, as the Lave will be pulled over to the side. And now trying to pressure back Y slightly with Save on this Earth Spirit.
And Y's doing such a great job of like holding that Fortune's End, right?
Yeah.
Because if that's gone, you know, that is a 15-second cooldown. Ion Shell is only 9, so it could be some trouble, especially right now, as they actually go in on knowing that Fortune's End is down. So they're going to get half his HP. You can see how fast that can turn since he's hit level 3 on the Darkseer and has the 2 points in the Ion Shell.
It's potentially a good amount of pressure, and you can see all across the map right now, it's LGD coming out ahead in the laning phase. Kunkka slightly up there.
We're here again, just like last game. Gonna try and find some advantages here.
The bottle, the rundown, nothing to say, pulls back, has the torrent onto Void Spirit. GPK only level 4 right now, and Y moving in does use the Dissimulate to get up to the high ground. So VP able to dodge that gank as 2 supports rotated into his lane. And that opens up some pressure for the rest of Virtus Pro to force back Faith Beyond.
GPK again, though. Going to be under pressure to try and set that earlier tempo, try and get them going in this game. Needs to have a better laning stage. I think it looks a little bit better than last game, but certainly, you know, versus the Kunkka, it can be tough. He just has a lot of advantages in the laning stage.
Look at that. Punishing the Cold Embrace. As soon as they use it, they run forward with the Ti10, start getting a couple free pot shots off, forces Faith Beyond back again. But yeah, GPK definitely the one that they're going to need to try and enable in this. Set the tempo with that Void Spirit, set up for kills with the IO relocate. And he has, at times, stood out as what feels like the best player, you know, potentially in the tournament. But definitely was shut down to some extent last time in the early goings, was able to make a comeback happen and put some good performances together in that game 1.
He also has a lot more health this game, right? You have a Tiny. That is a hero that, of course, can scale very well with the Shard and the Echo Saber, but can also join in early for some engagements and potentially even like TP to turn around some plays if necessary, especially once that relocate is going to be out there from the IO. So shouldn't be as much of an isolated need. I thought GPK did a really good job doing that, controlling the middle of the map last game on the Ember. We'll see if he can do that again here to set up for the plays. Now, last game, it was level 6 to level 5, and he went down in that pretty much same exchange. This time, it will not be a solo kill for the enemy mid, and we're still looking for first blood here at 6 minutes.
Yeah, this one's been really interesting in that regard. Obviously, you've got sort of, to some extent, static lane matchups, but heroes that are very survivable. You've got a lot of healing going on. You know, on LGD's side, you've got Necro, Winter Wyvern, and Oracle, all are who about keeping people alive. And then, you know, likewise, an Isle just keeps people stacked up constantly, as Catapult Wave is going to be pressuring mid a little bit. Looks like Y will move in, and they get the quick finish off on that one. Nothing to say, head back home. XTP comes back, full resources.
Yeah, it's so hard to pressure the resources of a Kunkka.
Oh, there it is.
Pressure on the Zinq, and there. The first blood of game 2. Going the way of Kingslayer.
Not necessarily who would have expected it. Instead, the move through and save. Gonna go down as well. Nothing to say. Claims that one.
Meanwhile,
Y also chased down. So a flurry of action. Suddenly, we're 3 kills deep.
Yeah, slow start. Now things are going to start popping off. And of course, someone who's very happy with this is probably DM, because that Oracle's long gone. He can lane a little bit more freely up top. And Ame still top of the board right now, just a little bit ahead of that Tiny. Well, as I said that, of course, classic cast curse. Tiny's going to jump on over there, but DM, hard to track down this hero once you have the Surge available.
Yeah, that is a very defensive, nice build to be able to go for there. As GPK again hanging out towards mid lane. LGD, do they want to make any type of moves early? I mean, you've got boat. Obviously, only the 1-point Nex at level 7, so the rotations feel like they might be a little bit tough for Kunkka until he gets a couple more levels.
I think they're just fully ready to match any sort of aggressive plays from Virtus Pro.
Nice dodge. Up in the say, not going to get by the 8th Remnant. Now, X, boat comes down, kills off King.